Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel. Today, I'm joined by my co-host Tanner Dykstra, who also goes on crazy week-long benders where he drinks and he falls asleep on the toilet. It's great. It's great. We all love it. Tanner, today we're here to talk about Supergirl. This is the second film in the DC universe, and we're here to give our thoughts on it. Of course, if anyone has seen this film and they want to talk to us about it, you can leave your comments, your thoughts in the comment section down below. You can join our Discord server, which is a link in the description of this video. Tanner, we're going to do it. We're going to talk about Supergirl. How you feeling about the movie?
Finally. Not great. I think it's not a good movie. I think it's got actually Tucker quite a few weaknesses. Not just one like kryptonite or anything like that.
Yeah.
I
This
think
movie is mostly kryptonite.
it's a lot of kryptonite, and we'll get into all of that, of course. But I think broadly, I would say that I found this film to be very, very poorly directed. This comes from, of course, director Craig Gillespie,
Sure.
who is not exactly a name that conjures quality to mind when I'm thinking about his directorial style, his filmography, and I think Supergirl is very much in line with
I
that.
don't know. I'm going to give Craig Gillespie a little bit of credit. I think Cruella is
Okay.
decent. I like I, Tonya a lot. I think Lars and the Real Girl is a great movie. It's like he's
I
made
haven't seen
good
Lars and the
movies.
Real Girl. But Tucker, you named like three movies that range from very good to okay.
Yeah.
And then he's got like six more that are
Sure.
that range from okay to
Yeah,
bad.
Dumb Money, not great. No, that movie's kind of dumb.
Yeah. Money. But no, I would say that the direction really left me wanting. I think generally this film lacks like a visual style, a cohesion, any like hook or really interesting like just anything to chew on
Sure.
thematically or from a character writing standpoint. I think the character writing, especially of Kara Zor-El,
Yeah.
of Supergirl, is quite poor, as I
Yeah.
want to talk about. And yeah, like I don't know. I remember this coming up when we discussed Tucker, a film that we obviously think about every single day of our lives, Shazam: Fury of the Gods. That were
Didn't
like,
expect
this
that
is
to be
just
brought up today.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
and
is
great.
just a
Tanner just ruined
film.
my day. Jesus.
I'm sorry. But like when we saw that movie, I remember our review broadly was, you can't make superhero films this generic anymore.
Sure. Oh, I do
And they
remember
just went
that.
they just
Yeah.
went and did it again. They just went
Yeah,
and did it
so
with
interesting.
Supergirl. But what
Yeah.
do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think that there's no area where I think this movie is strong. And I think that even the strongest elements uh are still pretty weak. They're still pretty flat. They're pretty generic. And I think that one of the areas that a lot of people might end up praising this movie in is that, oh well, a lot of the writing and the supporting cast and the greater conflict of this movie is weak, but at least Millie Alcock is like putting in some work. And maybe like I think that
Yeah.
she's probably better than the material she was given here, but under poor material and poor direction, I think that she doesn't come across particularly strong. And so I don't even have this like excitement for the character, which is unfortunate because I think that this hard of a shift into a different take on a character is quite exciting. I think that seeing her show up in the sort of teaser of Superman and knowing that we were going to roll straight into a Supergirl movie, I was like, all right,
Yeah.
they're building
Next
something
summer,
here.
Supergirl. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're building something here which is cohesive in terms of being the super family of characters, but Clark and Kara feel so different. They're worlds apart, not only in their origins, which we'll talk about here, but their personalities and the way they interact with others. And I was excited to see that kind of divergence be portrayed here on the screen. But like it's very surface level. It's like, oh yeah, she's kind of like drunken and lonely, and then like the movie doesn't really go far beyond that. Like, yeah, there's
I
there's
want
like
to talk about
grief
this. Yeah.
is like the cause of this, but I like by the end of the movie, I'm like, did we wrestle with this? Like the arc that Kara has by the end of this, where we're going full spoilers here. She's like, oh,
Mhm.
you know what? I think I'll hang out on Earth. I'm like, why? What did you learn here? Like, what through the events of this movie, and the people that you interacted with, and the things that you did,
Mhm.
encouraged you to return to Earth? Like, there's not a lot going on under the hood here, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate because I think there's a concept here, which I think probably comes from James Gunn coming up with what his version of the universe is going to be. And then
Mhm.
he hands that concept to a first-time screenwriter and to a middling director, and they're like, I don't know, man. Let's just shit out.
Yeah, it's like, well, this is broadly what these movies are kind of like, right? So we'll just make something along those lines, and it'll be fine. And it was not fine,
No, it
I
wasn't fun.
suppose.
I think I think it's a poor movie. I think that
Yeah.
a lot of the character work and the the art direction of the movie. Man, this movie's so brown, Tanner. Why is this movie so
Well,
brown?
this is the thing that people are really knocking against this movie is because when it was announced, like all the material that Gunn was using in the lead up to it, in the marketing surrounding,
Spray
the
paint,
early
kind of
marketing.
grunge
Yeah.
look.
Well, not even that. Before that, he was like, "This is inspired by the Supergirl
Oh,
Woman of
that's
Tomorrow
true.
comic
Which was
series,
the
the
original
comic
title for
run."
this movie, I believe. Yeah.
Exactly. And like that is very distinctly known for its like very unique art style
Yeah.
that really emphasizes the bright colors and contrasts and everything of these alien worlds that she's flying between and living on and everything like that. And it is the exact
Yeah,
opposite
it's
of
actually
what this
quite
movie looks
remarkable.
like.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people have been knocking this movie for is that like, God damn, look at the source material that you said you would be adapting, that you said is inspiring like this movie, and look what you actually delivered. Like it could not be less visually interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you can like maybe rationalize it a little bit, but like, oh, they're trying to do like a grunge kind of industrial
Mhm.
world for Kara to exist in that maybe reflects kind of her dissociation with her like identity as a Kryptonian or a superhero or
Sure.
something. But like,
Okay. Yeah.
but I think it just ends up with a movie that feels very drab.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
Tanner, nowhere is that more apparent, in my opinion, than the
Hmm.
action sequences in this movie.
Oh God.
They
Oh God.
are so boring, Tanner. Oh my goodness.
This is where watching these action scenes, and it's a feeling that like I felt in Supergirl that I have not felt in other superhero movies,
Mm,
even ones that have bad action scenes,
sure,
in my estimation. Where I'm like, this is a failure of direction in these scenes.
sure.
Like there again, there's just no essence of like identity or style to be had here.
Yeah.
I get like Craig Gillespie's like, yeah, let's use like slow mo. I guess it was like groundbreaking stuff for a superhero action scene. Absolutely. And what if we did like a needle drop during those as well? What if we did like a kind of like an ironic sort of needle drop during action scenes? I'm breaking down. I'm crying. I'm on my knees in the theater. It's like, oh my god, how could he think of such a thing? This is incredible. No,
Well,
I
Tanner,
think
no, but the interesting thing
yeah,
is, in those areas, Craig Gillespie not an action director, which means it's not his really
no.
strength. Which like that's neither here nor there. But like,
I would get an
I feel
action
like in that
director for a
area,
superhero movie.
in
Yeah.
those areas, Tanner, it just feels like he's like like bargain bin James Gunn. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
in
Totally,
like
totally.
needle drop, interesting kind of or well conceptually interesting framing for action sequences, slow motion. These are things that have been used to
Slow
great
mo.
effect in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Guardians trilogy and in Superman last year as well.
Hmm. Suicide Squad. Don't forget the
Oh,
Suicide
of
Squad.
course, the Suicide Squad. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love that
Um.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that he is just mimicking poorly a lot of things that James Gunn has done with that stuff, and yeah, it's a poor mimic certainly.
Yeah.
So should we talk about Kara? Should we talk about
Yes.
Supergirl as a character?
Tanner, I have one pervasive thought that I think spiders into one creative choice I think spiders into almost all the issues this movie has. Why is Kara drunk, poisoned, unpowered, asleep
I
for
felt this
the
exact
entire movie?
same thing.
It's
It's like,
actually kind
why
of bizarre.
you made a movie a year ago that had like one sequence where your main character, Superman,
Yeah.
I'm talking about Superman, where like one sequence where he is kryptonite poisoned, and then he gets out of there and he's totally and he's fine and is able to fly through. It's this action scene that like takes place in this interdimensional sort of space. Whereas here, I think I was trying to run through. There's like how many action like maybe like 6 to 8 action scenes in this film,
Sure.
would you
Yeah.
say? Maybe less than that. But I'm like, I think over half of them have Kara be depowered or poisoned or anything along those lines where you're like, oh, this is meant to be like more of a challenge. Meant to make this more challenging for her. I was like, it just makes it feel like I'm never seeing her at full potential.
Yes, yes.
I'm never seeing her like in full swing like we saw all the time in Superman.
Yeah.
Like you built the movie around making building up enemies and factions and fodder for him to burst through to fight through in that movie that displayed his powers. And in Supergirl, you're not doing that.
No.
And yeah, it just puts these restrictions and tamps down on the character all the time, especially when the script is not necessarily meeting like thematic ideas or your personality ideas either. It's just like I have
Yeah,
no
yeah.
conception of who this character is at all.
Exactly. I think it fails in both areas, in that it is certainly possible to place restrictions on your protagonist with their abilities and force them to be clever in order to get out of a situation.
Hmm.
But all the ways that she's uh, depowered in this movie, in whatever way that
Hmm.
comes, also like mess with her head, and so she's just kind of like oh, and a lot of these things it feels like she almost doesn't, like, she can't care because she's drunk or she's poisoned or she's asleep or whatever, and it's like
Hmm.
I can't get into the mindset of the character, the strategy that I assume that she has, the skill that I assume that she has, because there's like this cloud in front of her and the movie that is preventing me from like understanding what's going on here, and that also like again hampers her. It hampers the possibility space of playing with a Kryptonian character and their abilities.
Hmm.
We get to see her use actual powers 3 or 4 times in like a meaningful capacity in this movie, and
And they do
otherwise
the
she's
stupid
she's just
yeah.
like doing like flippy dippy like punching stuff, and then but then it's inconsistent, Tanner. It's like, okay, so she's kryptonite poisoned, or she's like on a red sun planet, which means she's depowered and stuff,
Hmm.
but she's still like really strong, and I'm like, wait, is it is the kryptonite poisoning like, can she just kind of like get out of that? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
so confusing.
It's really confusing, and it's even inconsistent from like what we saw in Superman, where like, yeah, he could get kryptonite poisoned and like feel the effects of it while he's under a yellow sun still.
Yeah,
Like that's kind of like the whole point is that it's like the one thing
yeah,
that
of
can
course,
counteract
yes, yes,
Superman. But like in this, she gets the poisoning, and like we do in the third act, this final action sequence, we do this like zoom in, we do this like thing where we see her blood cells or whatever, and they're like she's in the yellow sun, and so they're fighting against the kryptonite poisoning. I was like, I don't know if that's how that works. I don't know.
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
just kind of you're bending these universe rules around what is required or what you feel is required of the story, which is fine and dandy, and can be done if like I feel the movie has earned that.
Yeah. Mhm.
But the movie certainly does not. And they also with the yellow and red sun thing, like the first two planets that we see in this film get a little like Guardians of the Galaxy sci-fi movie readout. I was like, this is the planet name and this is the solar type that it has.
Yeah.
So we have an understanding of okay, Kara's gonna have her powers or not have her powers when
Yeah.
she's here. Okay, I gotcha. But yeah, they also bend and break those rules, and they like the one scene when they go to the bar or whatever. Is that the same planet that they fight? That they get lured in. Yeah, it's the same planet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This bar scene where we get introduced to Lobo
There's two
is
bar
what I'm
scenes,
talking
Tanner.
about.
Because
So the bar scene,
there's the bar
the second one.
scene that's like the saloon where the little girl shows up the first time, and then
Yeah,
there's
the
the
first time.
other planet where they're at another bar.
Yeah, and we arrive there. I'm like, well, I have no. I mean, does she have her powers here or not? And again, it's the same issue that we were talking about, where like she is sort of like
She does
inebriated.
on that
She does,
planet.
yeah. She
Yeah,
she
because then
does,
she gets
but
poisoned, and then she throws up, and then she keeps fighting.
mhm.
And she definitely has her powers because she like goes
She can drink
through the
milk.
ceiling.
She can drink
Yeah,
milk
that,
to stop being poisoned or
I don't
whatever.
know. It
I
coats
was
your
like,
stomach,
I was
Tanner.
like, exactly, exactly. And,
Me,
is
me when
this
I get
is
something injected in my blood, well, I better coat my stomach.
well, no, that's after she gets poisoned when she drinks the tea.
Oh,
That's when
that's
she's
true. That's
poisoned
true.
by the two parents or whatever who had their daughter abducted. And I'm like, aren't you Supergirl on a planet with a yellow sun apparently, where you have your powers? How on earth is this poison
Yeah,
affecting
yeah,
you?
yeah. Well, it's supposedly is it the same kind of poison that Crypto has, or like the
But Crypto got poisoned on the Red Sun planet, and so that
Yeah,
you understand,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's why it's affecting him.
Sure.
It's is because this is a Red Sun planet.
And Tanner, can we also take a moment to establish that we are describing sort of the solar types of these planets,
Hmm.
but they don't look any different. What at the
No,
moment that the readout comes up
dude.
and it says red sun,
Thank you.
I'm like, huh,
Okay.
like some interesting red lighting that's like glinting off of
Mm-hmm.
things, a black and red color palette that's really going
Well,
to draw me
Tucker,
into a
there's
sequence.
not a lot of the thing is that there's not a lot of lens flares in this movie for you to be able to see what color what the sun is.
Uh.
I joke. There is a overabundance of fucking lens flares, especially. I mean, maybe I was just paying attention to it in the first act or whatever. I'm sure they're across the entire film, but I'm like, there's a fucking sun taking up at least like 10% of the screen in every one of your fucking shots. Make it important. Make it visually understandable what kind of sun this is. Good God.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah,
it's
that
bizarre.
also pissed me. That also pissed me off in the movie. It's like the sun is an important part of the powers of your character, and it's in the shot like all the time. Make it red or
Yeah.
yellow, depending on where we are.
Yeah, it's weird. The final note about the sort of action things is that when we aren't in depowered Kara mode, which is again probably over half of the action sequences, or this is how it feels, they try to do these things where it's like, oh, we're gonna put the camera in kind of a unique position, and then that then action sequence is gonna happen. And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm like watching someone else's movie. Like I'm like somewhere else. I'm like in the corner of the theater, being like, well, what's going on over there? Like the unique camera positioning that they attempt to have in terms to like I guess introduce some variety or some stylization to the action sequences.
Mhm.
They just mean that we don't get to see Kara use her powers or be skilled. It's like implied, and I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
man, I don't know. Like I'm not. I don't feel anything here.
Yeah. So sorry. I think we got off topic. But like the backstory that we get for Kara in this movie is similar to stuff that we've seen from her character in various iterations in the past, or like she was born like after the death of Krypton, after Krypton exploded, and she survived because her father basically built this force field that lifted a section of the city off the planet as it was exploding, and she lived among Kryptonians for like over 10 years, basically. She grew up and became a
It's hard to
teenager.
tell how old she's supposed to be because she looks exactly like Millie Alcock, but then she's
Yes.
like supposed to be young. I'm like, I don't know, man.
She said, what did she, I think she says 8 years. She was born,
She's supposed to be
that was,
8 in that shot.
I think
When she arrives on Earth,
eight,
she's 8 years old.
what did she, no, what
There's
did
no
she
way
say?
that's true.
What did she say? It's like, that was 8 years before I was born, is when
Correct.
Krypton exploded.
Correct.
Krypton
Which has
exploded,
nothing to do with
yeah.
her age.
No. And then,
Then she's
so
born
she's
and
at
she
least
grows up to
and she's clearly like a teenager
yeah,
in those, I would say. And she's 23. She just turns 23
sure.
when we see her in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's true.
So yeah, so she's a
She also
teenager,
looks way older than
and,
23.
well, exactly. And we learn that like Argo City, this place, the city that's been like lifted off the planet, is being kryptonite poisoned because of the irradiation of the soil and stuff like that. So that is why her dad, shout out David Krumholtz, shoots her off into space and goes to Earth after Clark, basically, and it explains the age difference between them, and also gives us a ground floor for Kara's personality in
Yeah.
this film. She has a conception of what was lost on Krypton.
Yeah.
She grew up around Kryptonians. She knew her people, and now she understands them to all be dead.
Yeah. And I think
And
that
so
that's
she's yeah.
I think
Go
that
ahead.
is the most interesting narrative element in the entire film is the way that this unique history of her own impacts the way that she interacts with others and the way that she sort of sees herself as kind of homeless in a way and that she doesn't feel a
Yeah.
strong connection to either of the
She
cultures.
has no people.
Yeah.
This is something that we hear Clark say. Is like, find your people
Yeah.
on Earth.
And,
He's
and
like,
Tanner,
Clark, I have no people. My people are dead. Our people are dead. And he's
this
like,
is a
well, I never met
interesting
them.
concept. I
Mhm.
don't think it pans out because it gets missing two other elements. I think
Sure.
number one, I also think that it would have been very crucial to see her more than what we get. We get some
Mhm.
brief flashes disconnected from Earth culture. We get no understanding of who she is and how she interacts with Earth as a place. We
Mhm.
don't know. Does she have a job? Does she have friends? How often does she go out on jobs with Clark? She is a
Yeah.
superhero. How does she feel about that? Like the awakening of her powers, we get like a flash of, but like, does that change kind of her sense of identity? How did she connect to like Earth's music and the culture and absorb this sort of pop culture-y, grungy Star-Lord-esque personality? These are
Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
are crucial to what we understand the character to be in the main timeline of the film. But they yada yada all of that away. I'm like, no. Character that was, she wasn't like edgy or grungy on Krypton. Something happened when she
Mhm.
went to Earth and met some people or listened to some music or felt disconnected as she was maybe learning English and understanding that her powers set her apart from other people. There's character stuff here. It would have been fascinating to see, and frankly, also give Millie Alcock, I think, a little bit more range to explore who this character is. But we get like again brief flashes of that, and I think that for me, in my taste, the Krypton stuff and the her arriving on Earth stuff and the dynamic of Clark stuff, I think that I would consider that the strongest elements of the movie because I feel like I'm starting to learn a little bit more about this character. Because then in the main time of the movie, as we mentioned, she's drunk, she's asleep, she's poisoned, she's whatever for so much of the movie that I don't really learn too much about her. The scene where she's telling Ruthie about her past, I think, is probably one of the strongest parts of the movie. If I had to point somewhere,
Yeah.
but even then, I like okay, so we don't learn a lot about her on Earth, and then oh, she doesn't have her people. I mean, honest, I don't really feel like she finds her people in the course of this movie because Tanner,
No, yeah.
even weaker than Kara Zor-El, who is
Mhm.
depowered and kind of cloudy and not particularly fleshed out, is the supporting cast of this movie. I mean, I was shocked at how
Mhm.
weak and uninteresting I found Ruthie. Frankly, the young actress's performance I thought was not particularly compelling. Her
Yeah,
personality is
it's her
not
it's
very
her first
interesting.
film, yeah.
Uh, I think Lobo just is like filling. You have another character we could put on a poster role. The
Yeah,
villain is
it
insanely weak. Like, and
mhm.
that's like the only parts of the cast outside of her. There's like all these like
Yeah.
miscellaneous bits and bobs cantina characters in the background, but I'm like,
Mhm.
Tanner, in a movie about someone feeling like they need to find their people, how is there
Mhm.
not a compelling group of side characters for her to attach to over the course of the movie?
Because she can't attach herself to those Tucker because she needs to be on Earth with Clark where the rest of the universe is gonna happen, you
Why
know?
set this movie in space in the middle of gray ass planets that I don't give a shit about with characters I'm never gonna think about
Well,
again?
that's because they were adapting a comic series that was quite popular. It's like, "Oh, this is a really interesting Supergirl comic run. Why don't we take the idea let's take the villain from that movie or from that comic, the, inciting incident, which is that Crypto gets poisoned, and the idea that she's on a planet where she doesn't have any powers,
And Ruthie is also a part
disregard
of it.
yeah, and disregard basically everything else about that comic that people liked about it,
It's the
and
Spark
set
Notes
it there."
version.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone read the Spark
I
Notes
mean,
and they're like, well, I can write
yeah,
a
and
villain, I guess.
like that's why they also needed to do like some gymnastics of like, well, why can't Superman be here? You know, why she have to do these problems, solve these problems on her own, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's all sorts of like ways that they needed to twist themselves into this story, and they didn't find a way to flesh it out or make it interesting at all. But no, Ruthie as yes, this character who she is hellbent on revenge on Krem because Krem killed her parents and her brother. I need to do a quick aside and say her brother dies in the fucking dumbest, stupidest way possible. Where okay, also quick aside off of that. My viewing experience was a little bit marred, but it was fine because the curtains, like the masking on the side of the screens,
Hmm.
were like closed, kind of like clearly something went wrong with the programming there, where like the edges of the screen. I mean, not even the edges. Like I would say maybe 15% total, maybe 20% total of the screen was like blocked off by curtains on the edge.
Sure.
I went out, I was a hero. I went out and told the people at the front desk that like, hey, something's wrong here. And then like 10 minutes of the movie went by, they paused it, they got the curtains fixed, and they restarted it. Which means I saw her brother die 2 times, and it was dumber. It got dumber the second time because he jumps out, was like boo, in the back, drops fucking dead. I was like, that's dumb, but okay. And then her parents die, et cetera, and that sets the character off on this revenge path or whatever. And it's a classic like I'm like a young spunky kid, and I'm with like the jaded older
Yeah.
hero,
Tanner,
and
it's
they don't
True
want to
Grit.
help me. It's True Grit, exactly. They don't want to help me, but I'm gonna keep a dogged spirit up where they have to help me, and eventually they relent, and like I come under their wing, and I learn things about them that soften them a little bit, and they feel like they need to protect me from the ugliness and the violence of the world,
Yeah.
etc., etc.
But Tanner,
And like that is
that
the dynamic
is
between these two characters.
that's Ruthie's only character trait. Is that she
Exactly.
serves this role in the movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not compelled by this character at all. I'm not convinced
No.
that she'll be interesting or important to Kara going forward. I think that the moment that is supposed to be what Kara's arc is, I guess, is like, stopping this young character from going down the wrong path by killing someone, and
Hmm.
so because killing it'll sit with you and
It
you'll have
fucks
to
you up.
carry it
Yeah,
with you. But
and
then Kara just like kills the guy, and I'm like,
I need to fucking throw a flag up here, and this is why I feel like it's a fundamental mismatch and a fundamental flaw in the script. And maybe I'm stupid, but I'm just watching this unfold, and I'm like, I don't see the one-to-one here. I don't see the connection between these two
oh
characters and like the
sure,
lesson being imparted. I
yeah.
was like, Kara's trauma does not come from killing
No,
somebody.
no.
Kara's trauma comes from
She's
being like
probably killed
shuttled out.
someone, but we don't see
Yeah,
that. We
I'm
don't
sure.
know about a specific moment where that messed
No.
her up. You're right, Tanner. I never even thought about that. That's a fantastic point where there's a disconnect there between like the lesson she's trying to impart and like what we know about the characters. Like, is
Mhm.
this did this mess you up? I don't think so.
She
You
would
don't
she never
show
killed
me
her
that.
trauma comes from like being the lone survivor of her people
Yeah,
and getting to know her people, unlike Superman, and being shuttled off and feeling like powerless and feeling like she abandoned her people to die and rot on this planet or to die and rot in this city or whatever. And she's like, listen, killing somebody that really messes you up. I was like, this is not what we learned about the character. This is not what we know about Kara Zor-El, is that she's haunted by from killing people. She numbs her pain and her trauma from knowing her family and her people are dead.
yeah,
And I'm just watching this and I was like, I can't believe that they're trying to trick us into making this make sense, into trying to convince us that this makes sense.
yeah.
Anyway,
Eh,
I mean, it's also just a thing of like they want to differentiate her more from Superman is as a character that will kill people.
sure.
But I'm gonna say, Tucker, I guarantee if slash when we see Supergirl again and Superman, Man of Tomorrow or whatever, she's not gonna fucking kill nobody. I guarantee fucking to you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it just thematically it does not fit with the movie that she'll be in or whatever, and it'll just be like a weird thing that Craig Gillespie and Anna Nogueira in this film decided to make her character like willing to kill. Uh, as like a way to differentiate her and make her feel edgier or whatever because they failed to do so with other character writing and character notes and everything like that. We should talk about the villain as well.
Yeah,
Do you have anything else to say about Kara or Ruthie
about
for that matter?
Kara Ruthie. No, I don't, and I think that's where because I can take Tanner a weak villain in a movie. That's happened to me many
Yeah,
times, and I've still come out the other
happens
side.
in fucking Guardians of the Galaxy
Oh, totally.
2014.
Yeah, 100.
Yeah,
percent Yeah. Yeah, it happens in the Avengers, which is one of my favorite movies. Right.
yeah.
This is not an uncommon trait, but uh, usually I can excuse that for strength in other areas. And I think this movie's major issue is that no pillar of its character or narrative I feel is particularly strong. Um, because ultimately Krem is the weakest one of this. Like I crap on the situations this movie writes Akara into. I crap
Hmm.
on the performance or the like general simplicity of Ruthie as a character. But Tanner, I don't know anything about Krem of the Yellow Hills. Number one, what a
Well,
terrible character name. Couldn't remember that for the life of me. I came home
well,
and me and my
because
brother were like, okay, we just saw this movie. What was the villain's name? We're like, this is
they also jokingly call him Cream a couple of times,
yeah.
which I'm like, I need to look this up a second. I think his name in the comic might be Cream,
No, it's Krem.
and they
It's Krem.
change. Is it Okay, it's Cream and Bell.
K
Okay,
R E
but
M. Yeah.
okay, so but like she calls him Cream for some reason at one point. I don't really know. I don't really understand that. But anyway, sorry, I diverged from your
Yeah.
point.
Well, my point is just that I don't know. I don't know or care anything about this character. I think that
Hmm.
uh he he feels like a reject Reaver from Guardians of the Galaxy,
He
and
certainly
I'm
looks
like,
like it.
we need. I think my one of my biggest problems with the movie, from the villain to the planets to all of this, is there's no iconography. And Tanner, God, I rewatched the trailer for 2025 Superman, and the amount of
Yes.
characters and situations and moments of framing and the moment when Metropolis is being split down the middle and Clark and Lois like flying up and kissing under the sunlight of this thing. I'm getting goosebumps thinking. I'm like, this is moments of imagery. Like you could remember these moments, you could frame them, all this kind of stuff. The villain is interesting. The side characters are diverse and exciting. And Krem is one of these examples where it's just like what do you know about Krem?
Well,
What moments of like iconography are there about him? What are his personality? The name is boring as hell. Krem of the Yellow Hills. Like we don't get no context for like he must be someone who's like terrifying and done this a lot of times before. We know that he's like kidnapped a bunch of young women. We can talk about that plot line if you want. But like
yeah, yeah.
this is all like flavor text. The movie never gives us any actual attention to his character. And then when he is on screen, it's like, yeah, I guess he's like intimidating and like the like facial
He
makeup and
looks
things.
scary. Like he
Yeah,
looks scary, I guess. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and I agree with you broadly, and I need to talk about like the villain plot line in this movie, which is that they're sort of like they're raiders, they're pirates, and they just come in, they roll into town, they do whatever they want. Like that's the idea that you have of them in like the first act or whatever. Is that like these guys are like space pirates? Okay, gotcha. And she wants revenge. Ruthie wants revenge because they killed her parents, and Kara needs the antidote for crypto. Okay, that's fine enough. But then we are told at some point, I think maybe in this second bar scene by these parents who have had their daughter abducted, that or maybe is it by the fucking Seth Rogen alien that says this? That we learn that like what are they called? The
the
brigands,
bride. Oh, the
right?
brigands. Yeah, good point. Yeah, yeah.
The brigands like abduct young girls and make them their child brides to, continue their all male race. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, that is fucking dark.
Yeah,
And
and
the
not
movie
something this movie has
is
any capacity to deal with.
no, the movie never ever has the capacity to reckon with that idea. That like I was just fucking blown away that was the fucking thing. And I was like, are we gonna like dissect this at all? Are we gonna try and like unwrap
No,
that?
the closest we get is that we see shots of these young women in cages on
Yeah,
occasion in sort of the second act of the movie or second half of the movie. And then Kara saves them, but she like Kara doesn't even like seem to really internalize that this is the case because she's not like extra worried about it. She's still mostly focused on crypto, frankly. And it isn't until
yeah.
Ruthie's like, the brides are in there, and then she goes, boom, uses her
X-ray vision. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
X-ray vision, which the effect is fucking stupid on the X-ray vision.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
And then she goes and saves her. I'm like, because really, what I think would have added a lot more character richness to specifically Kara and intersected her with the villain's plot a little bit better is if there had been some way that other than the empathy of her being a woman and not wanting to be in this kind of situation where being a child bride abducted and all these things, these are terrible things. There's no connection between her life and the things that she's experienced and this, and so she like seems like she's still mostly focused and cares about crypto and like, but like
Yeah,
if she learned about this and this like pissed her off and really
yeah.
drove her to like be aggressive towards these people and it made it like her mission, like I'm going to save these women, like I can't see this happen. I think that would have really injected a mote of personality into her where it's like, all right, her empathy goes beyond just like the people that she cares about, mostly being crypto in this situation, but like,
Hmm.
and because that doesn't happen, I'm like, okay, like crypto, I love my pets too, but like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
can we get our priorities straight here, Kara? Like,
And there's
maybe
not
one of
there's not
these things
even
is more important.
and there's not even any note in the script or in Alcock's performance where like the conflict of like, damn, I want to fucking kill this guy because he's fucking evil,
Yeah.
but I can't because I need the antidote for crypto. There's never a moment of that conflict that's like really that rises to the surface either. It's just all so like it's just like, what's the most evil thing that these characters could do? I don't know. How about this? I was like, fine, fucking chuck it in the script.
Yeah.
We already shot the movie. Do we need to like play? Do we need to play that up at all? Nah, don't worry about it. Like it just feels like an afterthought in the
Can I
movie
give
and
a
in the
comparison,
script.
Tanner?
Yeah, what you
This
feeling?
same plot line is in Black Widow.
True,
I mean,
very
frankly,
true.
works a lot better in Black Widow because
Yes,
Natasha went through this as well. And she
yeah.
doesn't want to see this happen to more people. And so you see sort of, we know the pain on her from her history. We know what she's gone through. And then seeing the flashbacks of her as a child going through these
Hmm.
situations and being wrenched from her, the family that she's trying to build and things. And then when she is able to free the other widows and sort of and break the Red Room and stuff, she has also fixed her own trauma or begun on that path of healing, chasing that
Hmm.
revenge and stopping someone who did something that directly harmed her. Kara is again totally disconnected from this, other than like the inherent sort of like feminist appeal that this movie has of like, you know, trafficking and mistreating women is a bad thing, and we agree with this. But at a writing level, disconnecting your protagonist from the motivations of the antagonist feels like they're in two different movies, and she's like, well, I just care about my dog.
And this is like not Ruthie's motivation either.
No,
Ruthie
it's not, no.
is looking to kill them because they killed her parents. Like it feels like a weird, like, again, I said it's fucked up that this is the case, but like it feels like a weird afterthought in the script. This is like the third order of importance as to why these characters are bad and why they need to be killed. I was like, guys, it should be priority number one.
Yeah.
Just based on what you are telling me about these characters. And again, you brought up Black Widow, and it's reminded me of this thing. I was like, Ray Winston, is a great actor and is able to play like the evil and like the broiling sort of like
and the conniving.
The conniving.
I can't remember the name of that
like
character. What's the fucking
Yeah,
name?
me neither. I don't know.
No, because he got the daughter, Dracov's daughter.
Okay, sure, great, awesome.
But Dracov is someone with a plan. He's doing this for very malicious reasons, but he has sort of this intelligence about him that it is able to have him like have this whole empire.
And he's able to
Krem's an idiot, Tanner. Like what makes Krem like a leader of these guys? What makes him like intimidating other than the fact that he is committing these criminal acts? Like he's not a strategist. He's not particularly like is he like superhuman in some way? He can take a bunch of punches from cars.
He's got the strength of 1,000 men, as we learn.
Why? How? Is he special? What's his backstory? I don't know.
I don't know. The point I was going to make, though, is that, like, Dreykov is also scarier, A, because of who is playing him, and B, because he is a normal guy, all things considered. Whereas, like, Krem, he's decked out, and he's got these face studs, and he's got his, like, Ravager, space pirate sort of get-up and everything like that. I just had to remind myself, I looked up Krem from the comic run that this is adapted from. He looked like a normal guy.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that is scarier. If it's like a normal looking guy who is committing like these most heinous acts or whatever and organizing these things, I was like, that is scarier than like a guy who looks like a monster is a monster. I was like, I understand that. Yeah. It's just like,
it's just easy, Tanner.
It feels like they are actively taking steps away from making their movie interesting.
Yeah. Or making it more nuanced, making it more complicated. Because this movie just doesn't have a lot of gray in it, and I mean morally.
Well, there's a lot of gray in the color palette. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I guess that's kind of the final point to talk about. I think the one area where I do give this movie praise is that they clearly put a lot of physical, practical effects, makeup work, costuming into the variety of side characters and alien races and that kind of thing. And I have a lot of respect for that. It's not something that we get a ton of in movies anymore. And so when I was like looking at the cantina with all these guys with different shaped heads and stuff, I'm like, hey, good on you. But the movie's so fucking dark and brown that they just turn into like this slurry in the background. Like, I know there's good work there. Like, if you saw like a picture of like this extra in this costume, you're like, damn, they really put some heart and soul into making this. Like, shout out to the effects team. But the lighting team and the color grading team and the cinematography, it's just like it does not do any of that work justice.
Okay. I got 3 points. 2 are smaller, and one is a big point that I think we need to address before we wrap up here. 1, Lobo.
Oh, is he the major point or no?
No, he's not. The major point I say for last. I mean, it's Jason Momoa, and we're bringing him back because James Gunn likes him, and he does have a unique, distinct energy on screen. Jason Momoa does. You know what I mean? I should say that he's got his brand. He's got his brand of like a Jason Momoa character is. And Lobo is certainly the closest to that in like comic lore and stuff like that. It feels like a studio mandated, we need another recognizable character aside from Supergirl and Superman in this movie. And they're like, we'll introduce him, give him a lot to do. No, not really. He's largely ambivalent to a lot of what's going on here. He's like hunting down another one of the brigands for a bounty.
Which one?
And
why?
I don't know. One of the one you see the second most often is the one he's hunting.
Probably,
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was just sort of underwhelmed. My audience was reacting to Lobo, like they thought he was kind of funny, I guess. But as I said when we walked out of the theater, I was like, I suppose they needed something to react to because
Sure.
there's not a lot else that this
Yeah.
movie provides. And he is like a little bit of flavor in the movie. He is like a little bit of something different where you're like, this is a movie star playing an important character. I get it. I'm glomming onto this a little bit. I was not personally because I'm like, this is just really easy Route 1 Jason Momoa character stuff. But Tucker, do you have any specific thoughts on Lobo or
Nothing
no?
different from what you just said. I think that it feels like the easy way into like sell some action figures or something like that.
Yeah,
He
definitely.
the weakest part is that because he's also disconnected from the plot and the motivation, and he and Kara hardly interact. Uh, it feels like he's also
Hmm.
in a different movie, right? The villain, the protagonist, and the major side character feel like they're in different movies. And I'm like, I don't
And
know,
that's
like,
good. Is that how you're supposed to write a movie?
hmm.
Is that good?
Hmm. Yeah, like
Um,
it feels like he dropped in from a different project, and
definitely,
he
definitely.
it's just so strange.
He does not really fit in the movie at all. Point two, the needle drops. As we said, sort of James Gunn, sort of light stuff here. They do use a lot of like female-fronted punk bands and rock bands and stuff like that, which is cool. You know, there's like a Wet Leg needle drop in here. I think there's maybe a La Tigra needle drop in here, but the final needle drop
Tanner, this is probably
that
one of the things
is
this movie is remembered for.
Oh yeah, I talk about this is I saw people talking about this before the movie came out because there was like Wednesday night early screens. Somebody took a video of this on their phone and it went viral on film Twitter of them like
Oh,
of
so
people
you
being
knew
like
about the song before going?
no, I did not watch it. I did
Okay,
not
okay.
watch it, but I knew people were like Jesus fucking Christ, this needle drop is terrible. So I was anticipating it once I saw we were leading into vaguely what I remember from like seeing the muted clip on Twitter. And it is a cover of The Middle by Jimmy Eat World. Hang on, I'm trying to see if I can. I pulled up a list to see if I could find who this cover is by. I don't know. I can't find it, but it is terrible. It
It's so
is.
bad.
It's like it's a cover of the song that is like soft, and people have said it's like a cursive. It's like the cursive singing kind of
Sure, sure.
sound, and I've also seen people sort of defending the use of it a little bit, where it's like, this song, I understand, like, literally the lyrics are like, it's Kara kind of talking to Ruthie. It was like, little girl, you're in the middle of the ride, etc., etc. Like, it's a little bit of a comforting thing as Supergirl is flying around and beating all these brigands and protecting Ruthie. Um, but just use the real song. Good God, like, the cover is
That would
terrible.
help a touch.
It would
I
help
don't
a
think it would
touch.
help a lot. I think it
It
would
would still
still
be
be a
a
bad needle drop.
I would say so. I would say,
Because
and people have also said
it
this. It's like use the songs that you've used in the trailer. Use "Call Me." Use by Blondie or whatever.
mm,
It is that's like an iconic song by a female-fronted rock band that like what you've been doing for the rest of the movie, and it's like the soundtrack of the trailers, and it's nowhere to be found in the movie.
yeah, bizarre.
So
Yeah.
bizarre to me. Yeah,
It's one of those moments where you're just completely taken out of the film. I
yeah.
don't think
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
the choreography of that sequence is like it might be
No.
it might be the best in the movie, again, low bar. But it's
Hmm.
like I can't focus on that because all I'm thinking is, oh, I'm looking over at my brother. I'm like, is this real? We experiencing this
Yeah.
right now?
It feels like a fucking joke. It feels like a
Yeah,
joke.
yeah.
It's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. Okay, last point, Tucker, which I think this is maybe a little bit of a larger discussion, but we can hash it out a little bit here. How do you think this will impact the idea of the DCU going forward?
The idea.
Obviously, this film is tracking to not open great. It is not exactly it's getting quite poor reviews, and the
Hey, here's
audiences
another one.
aren't.
Add it to the
Here's
pile.
another one. Like general audience walkouts are not great either.
Yeah. B minus
This
in
is
the
the
score.
second this is the second film in the DCU. We know that there is Clayface coming out later this year, which is not in the canon universe, as I
Oh,
understand.
is it? No? Oh. Hmm.
I don't know. It's sort of vague, I guess. I don't. It's unclear to me. And then next year we have the sequel to Superman. and then we don't know anything that's coming out after that, except for like that weird mixed animation like Robin and Nightwing movie.
There's plenty of
That
movies that they've like partially announced and like someone's working on a script or like there's like a producer
yes,
attached or something. But there are no
yes.
dated films, I think is your point, right?
So like people, my question to you, Tucker, is people are saying like this is it, this killed the DCU. Do you feel that way?
No, I don't think so. I think that bad superhero movies have existed for a long time, and bad superhero movies in long running universes have existed for a long time. And I don't think one bump in the road hurts the potential to continue this. I think, and I hope that, mm, James Gunn's a great director, and I think that he has a confident and interesting idea for what he wants his universe to be, and you can feel some of those notes in here that I think again could have been better handled in more deft hands. Um, I think that I hope that this makes him like tighten down a little bit more. Like, all right, we're gonna start paying attention a little bit more to
hmm
these scripts and to the editing process and things. Because also, Tanner, fuck the editing of this movie. Like, did you notice that like every scene just kind of like like ends and you're what? We're doing something else now? What the hell is happening?
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does not surprise me. No, with the
Um,
general quality of this film.
but the only like reason that like might be this movie might be specifically bad for this specific universe at this specific moment in time is that there is
hmm
sort of this imminent Paramount Warner Brothers merger that might mean that a restructuring kind of happens. And
hmm
if you're the top boards and you're pointing at, all right, what are our pillars and how are we going to
What have you
build these
done for
going
me?
forward?
Yeah. What have you done for me
You're
lately?
only
Oh,
as good as your
Supergirl?
last one.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're only good as your last one. Clayface might be good. No, we haven't seen it.
hmm
It's not going to make a lot of money. How is that going to impact things? The saving grace of that though is that again, I really did like Superman. It made a good amount of money. I
It did.
expect nothing less out of Man of Tomorrow coming out next year, and
hmm
so we're gonna get through that movie at least. It's being made. It's going to
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah,
released,
yeah.
and so maybe if that movie is good and does well, that's the moment where what have you done for me lately? Oh, actually, this does have
hmm
potential. So we can build it
So
forward.
my feelings on this are kind of like people have spun this out into also being like this is it, this is like the death of the superhero genre as a ubiquitous thing, which people have been talking about since like Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four
There,
underperformed
people have been
last
talking about
year.
this for fucking 8 years at this
For
point.
years. I think maybe it is a reality, and maybe Hollywood is just like slow to react to these trends and stuff like that. But it is sort of an undeniable fact that outside of like the biggest characters, the S tier characters, superhero movies are not what they once were.
Yeah.
It is an undeniable fact to me. And I think this might be a nail in the coffin, or at least a fork in the road for Gunn and Safran at DC
Hmm.
Studios, being like, I don't think we could do an Authority movie. Like, not that that was gonna happen
No.
anyway, but like this feels like a we can't do shit like that unless we make it for like under $100 million.
Yeah, because this
We
was
cannot. We
170,
cannot.
I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think the way forward for more niche characters will probably be like a Clayface kind of situation,
Sure.
or Joker Folie Dude, notwithstanding like what they're trying to replicate with Clayface from Joker and
Hmm.
stuff like that. It's going to be smaller passion projects and not like A or even B or C tier characters that are getting summer blockbusters
Yeah, sure.
budgeted over $150 million. I think that this is making enough of a stink that people will be like, I think we just have to pivot away from that. Where like Gunn's next move might be doing like a Wonder Woman movie. That he's like big character, summer blockbuster. This is deserving of $175 million budget.
You think he directs that?
I No, I don't think so. But like, I think this is like that is the way forward, and not doing an Authority Swamp Thing, any number of other things that
Teen
he announced
Titans.
back in Teen Titans. I'm like, I think that would still maybe be a smart move. Maybe not making it like an Avengers level movie by any means, but like if you can scale that down by like 20%, let's
Sure.
say,
Yeah.
from this, I think that there is enough nostalgia, especially built up in like Gen Z and millennial
Yeah.
audiences for Teen Titans, where I'm like, I think that would still be a smart cinematic universe
No,
move, a smart move
I don't disagree.
generally.
I think that the interesting thing is what we're framing Supergirl as is she's an iconic character. People know of her, but she
hmm
doesn't have the cultural understanding of specific elements of her character uh, that would lead her to be something like, "Oh, wait, I can't wait to go see this. I'm a big fan of this character." It's like, "Oh, no, I know
Mhm.
that the Supergirl exists. Oh,
Yeah,
there
so
was a
like,
movie,
so
there's a
like,
TV
well,
show, all that stuff." But
it's literally the idea that they had when they wrote a character. It's like, oh yeah, Superman, but a girl. I get
yeah.
it.
But, and what I think is the most disappointing thing about all of this is that the strength of James Gunn is
Hmm.
taking characters that you're either unfamiliar with or partially familiar with, giving them a
Hmm.
spin, giving them quality and heart and a unique world, and kickstarting that new group and those characters to a new echelon of iconography and popularity, and setting the groundwork for an entire future generation of artists to building a groundwork of this new version of the character. And
Hmm.
I think the ideas are there for Supergirl that is a little bit more punk rock, that's a little bit edgier, to
Yeah.
be a new version to build off of. And I think there's maybe a chance that through appearances and other things that Millie Alcock Supergirl grungy kind of attitude becomes that kind of association that we have with the character rather than something
Hmm.
that's a little bit more golden age, silver age, pop comic book. Um,
Hmm.
but they failed this movie. This movie fails
Yeah.
that character. I think that we're operating under, okay, Supergirl is a character that has the potential to be an A tier character. She's not an A tier character. She has the potential to be. But this is just kneecap the potential. Like this, they're not going to like be greenlighting a bunch of other Supergirl
No,
projects.
I think
Unlike
this
like
is.
the Guardians or Suicide Squad,
Mhm.
when those characters are well received and interesting, you start seeing King Shark show up in things. You start seeing Groot show up in things. Like I think
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
hoping for that with Supergirl, but this movie just doesn't have that same kind of heart to it.
No, I mean it really just comes down to like I think Gunn needs to, just using Supergirl as an example, take a stronger creative hand.
Sure,
Like really, I mean, borderline Gunn needs to maybe direct all of these DCU movies. Is
sure,
kind of what it feels like, especially if they're going to feel like James Gunn movies, like Supergirl does, but
yeah.
just like poorly done. I was like, then just make it, just
And his
James
name
Gunn,
is
just
heavily
direct the
attached to
movie.
this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like it feels like a poor replication of his brand, even to like general audiences. I think that you could ask and be like, oh yeah, this feels like a James Gunn kind of movie. It feels very much like a Guardians of the Galaxy or something
Yeah,
like
we're in
that.
space. We're neo
Um,
dropping. We're punching aliens in the face. We're in
exactly.
bars.
But then like you cheapen it by getting fucking Craig Gillespie to like poorly replicate that, and I think it hurts the DCU brand and it hurts the Gunn name brand overall.
Sure.
So I think that this is just a real unfortunate sort of kneecapping to everything that is being built, and I think it'll lead to a significant change in strategy. Maybe not restructuring, but that's maybe going to happen inevitably anyway with the larger corporate
Yeah,
forces at
change in
play.
strategy, I think, is a good way to put that. Like, all right, we got to get
Mhm.
our ducks in a row. We can't do this
We got,
again.
you either got to do a Clayface or you got to do Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and they're doing Green Lantern on TV. Like, what the fuck is that? That was maybe an avenue you had for like, is this an S tier character, like an iconic character or not? I don't know. Put him on a TV show. I was like, that cheapens him. That cheapens the
Yeah,
Green
definitely,
Lanterns.
definitely does. Yeah,
Yeah.
10 what's your score here for Supergirl?
Oh fuck! I forgot we had to do that. Yeah, Tucker. This movie just talking about it, especially, just made me like lower and lower on it. I'll say a 3. That's kind of what I came into it with. 3 out of
Sure.
10.
Yeah, I'll say 3.4.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And it's just so unfortunate. I was looking forward to this movie. I think the trailers are
Yeah.
better than what we got. And it's just there's nothing to remember out of this movie. Millie Alcock as
No.
Supergirl like has some potential, but this movie is not it.
I will absolutely never have like a hankering to rewatch this
No,
film.
God, no. No, and it's going to be
No.
one of those moments where you're like, 20 years from now, like, all right, let's reflect on the DCU. Let's maybe rewatch some of them. And you're going to get to this and be like,
Hmm.
oh, boy. Oh,
Yeah.
man. This is,
Yeah,
Tanner,
man.
is this the Thor Dark World of a DCU?
I saw a lot of people comparing this to Thor: The Dark World, and yes, I
Mm,
do think it's definitely that.
God.
People were calling it Thor: The Dark World. People were calling it the Incredible Hulk. Sort of this second cinematic step in
Mm,
the
the
cinematic
sophomore
universe
slump?
that is the sophomore slump. Exactly.
The
So
BVS?
yeah, maybe it's all up from here. Maybe it's all up from here. And as mentioned, Millie Alcock as Supergirl, I think, shows promise and was a lot better in like the 10 seconds of Superman than she is across an entire movie. And I think it purely just comes down to scripting and direction. I still believe in her idea, in her casting as this character.
Sure. Yeah, so do I. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. See you next time.